My name is Mike The Intern. Thank you so much for coming out here. I am with 104.7 The Cave. It's good to see everyone once again. Before we get into that, I just want to make an announcement. We have a very special guest in-house. Governor, please stand so everyone can see. Governor Parsons, give him a hand. Governor, please open up your blazer so you can show these diehard Chiefs fans. See, kids, if you pay your dues, you can get awesome jackets like that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what it's all about. So, okay, that's all I had to say. Let me get these guys up here. I've been working with this man for the last 4 years. Been about 4 years now. Every morning I get to hang out with this guy, and it is a treat for me. He's become one of my good friends. Ned Reynolds, everyone give it up for this guy.
This is really great for me because I finally get a chance to work with my son, the intern, right?
DNA results are still pending, so I'll let you know how that goes. Anyway, Ned, thank you, and this man needs no introduction. He's come down here for 4 years to kind of give us our own, I would like to call this a pep rally. It's also our Chiefs happy hour. You know him as the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one, the only, Mitch Holthus. How are you, sir? Guys, have a seat. We will be joined by Hains momentarily, but we wanted to get things going, so let's start talking.
Well, I'm a little bit awestruck. I just have to tell everybody I'm trying to because I'm here with Governor Parson, right? And let me tell you about Governor Parson. He was a terrific athlete. Not only does he have this kick-ass jacket that he's wearing, he once had 6 touchdowns for the Wheatland Mules in a single game against Appleton City. And what makes it so incredible, Mike, is that Wheatland doesn't even have a football team. So the dude's a rock star. So if I'm a little bit kind of wow, I'm with the governor again. A couple of years ago, he was here, and nobody even told me he was coming. I go, I think that's Governor Parson out there about that at table. But anyway, good to see you, Governor. Thanks for all your help and all your work to help this great state.
He is, of course, the first fan of the state of Missouri, but more important than that, he's the first citizen of Bolivar, and that makes a very big difference. Give him a big round of applause, folks. Mike Parson being down here.
Ned, you can take the Wheatland out of the mule, but you can't take the mule out of Wheatland.
There you go.
Honestly, we were just glad that the Highway Patrol wasn't here to arrest any of the staff from the cave. And then when we realized what was going on, we were like, okay, thank you. Whatever you guys want to do is fine.
I pulled up in the back because there's no parking spots. You guys took them all, thanks. And but then the MHP guy tased me, and I was like, and then I got pepper sprayed.
I had to run back there and say, wait, no, he's with us.
Let's go, Anyway.
Hey, Mitch, this is really super, and the crowd loves it. We've been pitching this now for about Mike, 3 weeks or so somewhere, and this is the turnout we get. Now, Mike has a huge audience on 104.7 The Cave, and everybody loves what he does and responds to what he does, and herein is the key. Now, not everybody can fit in the riff, but that's by design. That's the way we want it. We want only the loyal Chiefs fans here, and we have them. Including, hey, give yourself a big round of applause. Yeah. That's very good.
And not only, Ned, do you get the governor, but you also get the queens of the Queen City who are over here with the cool T-shirts.
The ladies.
The Chiefs Kingdom has firmly planted their flag on top of football's highest summit at a moment we'll never forget in Super Bowl 54 to win that championship. So thank you, ladies, for the T-shirt.
Well, as Mitch well knows, the longtime co-host of the pregame show, the halftime show, and the postgame show will be coming in here in just a few minutes. Hains, who is the voice of Missouri State Athletics, as well as being the the bookend for all of the Chiefs broadcasts with Mitch Holthus. Mitch, I do want to begin by asking you a quick question, though. This is probably a little bit off the beaten path, but after the Chiefs didn't do so very well in the Super Bowl, that had to be a huge downer for everybody. Now, you're with the team and the front office and all the officials and so forth. Your perception of how people reacted right up until today after that fateful day in February?
Yeah, I got two answers to that, Ned. One is the first 45 days after that game, and the second portion of this would be the days thereafter. A lot happened, as you know, in the 72 hours prior to Super Bowl 55. It was a very strange experience. Of course, with COVID, it wasn't a full stadium. We couldn't travel like we normally do. And then what happened, as we all know, with the unfortunate accident. And honestly, that game rocked our boat, rocked all of us, right? And honestly, I thought after 8 incredible years of unthinkable success under Andy Reid, honestly, I was thinking, man, is the train off the track? Are we in trouble here of a Super Bowl hangover and what happens to a lot of teams that have crashed and burned after losing Super Bowl games? I will tell you emphatically, that's the first 45 days. And then there was the start of free agency, and we were missing on some free agents, right? We were making a push for some and didn't get them. And I'm thinking, same thought. Then I'm trying to think about 45 days after that game or so that put us about end of March, things started to change. We made the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. We were able to get Joe Tooney at left guard. The draft, and I'll get into that in a second, but here's the second phase of that. And I will tell you all this, and it's not hyperbole. What I saw and experienced this spring and summer, from 30 March on, we have blood back in our face. We are coming with a full cannon load of canister. We had a terrific offseason. We had a great OTAs. We had great mini camps, and we're ready to rock. The AFC is loaded. Our schedule is probably the toughest in the AFC. That's great. Our home schedule, we have people that come to every game, is probably the best that I've seen it ever in my brief 28 years as the voice of the Chiefs and in the 60 years of the franchise. But I'm telling you this, Ned, 2 phases. The first phase was concern. The second phase is, okay, I see it. We're back. We're coming after you, and we're coming after you hard and strong, and I'll get into why in a second.
There is the key right there. That says it all. The motivation, the understanding of how the Chiefs as a team affect their audience, and there are millions who love this team. It has not been diminished one little bit. They will be back. Now, here's the next question, a little bit off, again, the beaten track. When the Chiefs play the Green Bay Packers at Arrowhead, in Mitch Holthus' opinion, will Aaron Rodgers be the QB?
It's getting 2 phases, that answer. Up until 30 June, I would have told you no. I thought he'd be the Denver Broncos quarterback. Since then, though, I would tell you yes. Knowing some of the folks in the Packers front office, unless I'm ambushed, and the governor can talk about that, unless I'm ambushed, I will tell you that the Packers, there is no trade they can make that would bring the value of Aaron Rodgers. They could give out or get 3 first-round picks. It's still not going to equal the value of Aaron Rodgers. So I think the Packers have pretty much decided to dig their heels in and say, we're going with Aaron Rodgers. If he doesn't want to play, we will play Jordan Love. The heck with it. But what could we do? Because that trade would be looked at for 2 generations. And I think the Packers cadre here has said, you know, we're being pinned to the mat. We're kind of gotten caught in a vice. But why would we do that? Because there's nothing we can get of value in return. So, long answer, but I'm telling you, I think we will play him. I think we'll play Rodgers. And, again, a spectacular home schedule with 17 games and looking at 9 home games in the regular season.
You might explain very quickly, Mitch, why it has to be a trade, why he can't just up and play for somebody else.
Well, he's under contract with the Packers. If he wasn't under contract and he's an unrestricted free agent, it would cost what we've paid Mahomes, which is Neptune and Uranus, and let's see, Saturn. We had to throw Saturn in there too, and Jeff Bezos' rocket ride to get Mahomes. But whomever's going to get him, and there are people desperate for a quarterback, would do that. It'd be similar, though, what we did in Montana. I think in the mid-'90s, you're going to get a guy very talented, but he's at the end of the road. And good player, but this has been weird and how he's handled it. And it's put the Packers in a tough spot. But I think for 2021, he'll be the Packers quarterback. That could change tomorrow. But everything changed after 1 July.
Put that one in the W column when they do play. That'll be a Chiefs victory right there.
Yeah, we'll get after him.
Arrow.
Mahomes didn't play against him the last time we played him at home. He'll play this time.
He will play this time. Real quick, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Art Hains. Coming on the stage, sir. Come on up here. I'm just keeping your seat warm for you. Before I take off, though, you mentioned this earlier. When we won Super Bowl 54, one thing that kind of went under the wayside and really didn't get talked about a lot was that front five. The offensive line was incredible that year.
Yep.
Last year, the reason we didn't win, in my opinion, was it wasn't there. Yeah. How do you feel about it going into this season?
It is a testimony to Brett Veach and his ability. I call him like a gerbil on a treadmill. He just goes. He's like a dolphin. He sleeps with one eye open every night and half brain sleep and half brain awake. But his ability to put together what now looks like at least a top 10, maybe a top 5 offensive line in that span of time that I alluded to earlier is somewhat short of a miracle. There's a lot of elements to it. It's like I talked to Art today at 20 past 4 on his show. To get Tooney in free agency, to make the Orlando-bound trade, to draft Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith is the one that people don't know about. Now, I want to see him in pads at training camp, but he was spectacular this summer. He's a 6th-round pick. He might be the steal of the 2021 draft. If we played tonight, he would start at right guard. And we have Leray Duvernay-Tardif back. Andrew Wiley's still there. We have Mike Remmers at tackle. We've got Lucas Niang, who opted out, and he's coming back. We got Yasir Durant for you Mizzou fans, who was great last year in filling in against the Panthers. And all of a sudden, what looked like and was a big weakness in Super Bowl 55 against a bunch of trained animals that were that front 7 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we beat in November, but they did not have Vita Vea. They did not have their rookie out of Washington sitting right here, blowing snot bubbles, looking at Mahomes. But we also don't have a JV offensive line anymore. We have a varsity offensive line, and I think it'd be really good. What's up, brother?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, did Marshall ever play Wheatland? I want to know. Did you ever? I know you're a class above Wheatland, but
I don't think Wheatland plays football.
They don't play football, but he had 6 touchdowns in a single game against Appleton City. That's what I said before you were here. Oh. He was by himself.
They did once upon a time, then, right, yeah. Governor?
I know we were at happy hour before this, Governor. I don't know. You go Wheatland Mules. So, yeah, I was just kidding. He had 6 touchdowns. They don't even have football.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the offensive line, and a lot of the time, really the winning edge. Yeah, the Chiefs didn't just replace the offensive line one deep. They got additional groceries in the sack to where they're not so dependent on, okay, Orlando Brown's the left tackle. Yeah, he is. But you talk about Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, and this guy's not going to make the team, like maybe Andrew Wiley and Yasir Durant. Don't know. They can't all make the team. But no. It's a lot of depth there to where you hope that you're not going to get in a situation like you did last year.
And we have a real good undrafted rookie from a year ago who's in his 2nd year named Darrell Williams out of Mississippi State. And I don't know if he'll fit in. We got Austin Blythe from the Rams, to your point. So it was this collection of getting free agents, making a major trade, getting guys back like Niang, who opted out, who basically is a rookie this year, or getting Leray Duvernay-Tardif, the Canadian doctor, back. Guys that were there, Nick Allegretti, haven't mentioned him. There's 15 guys on the offensive line going to camp. There will either be 8 or 9 that will be on the roster as we get ready for Cleveland on the 12th of September. And of those 8 or 9, only 7 will be active on that Sunday. This is going to be really interesting. It'll be one of the closest things to watch during the training camp time.
And Mitch, the pass rusher is a really, really, really important cog. Yeah. And the Chiefs just re-signed Alex Okafor. What did you read into that? He's a guy they cut and got him back now, 30 years old. He still can get it. But what are your thoughts on how that defensive line and that pass rush works?
Yeah, good question. It's an algebraic equation. He's a variable, but it's not like, wow, he's the guy and he'll get 10 sacks. Let me just, because I know someone's going to come with a Frank Clark question here.
Frank Clark insurance.
That's what the governor gets every day. What about Frank Clark, Governor? and he does the squirm. He's got him on the near fall, and he escapes and wins 4-3. Because I don't think Wheatland has wrestling either, but he wrestles.
I don't think so.
But every once Frank Clark, gosh, man, Frank Clark, Frank Clark, this is kind of weird what's going to happen. But to answer your question, there's a lot of variables here. And one of those is Steve Spagnuolo's scheme. The other is the acquisition of Jaron Reed from the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, watching him this summer up close, he's a beast. Now we have him there, along with an ever-improving Derek Nottie in the middle, which allows us now to move Chris Jones around. So you do go to the games all the time, have some fun with the folks sitting next to you and go, where's Chris Jones going to line up on this snap? We will move him around depending on if there's a runt pig we can get. There's always a runt pig in the NFL. Find the runt pig and go after him, right? I know it sounds cruel, but that's what the NFL does. They find the runt pig and go after him. So you move him around, even from snap to snap sometimes, and unleash Chris Jones. Chris Jones, in what I saw this summer with Spags' scheme, could have a big year if he embraces this role that he's got. I think Frank will play. I just think it's a legal matter. I can't comment on it any more than that. And if it's a legal matter, it's an NFL matter. There can be a suspension, but the NFL can't do anything until the legal process goes through. So we could have Frank. But Mike Dana enters this picture. Any Missouri S&T graduates in here, you know, the Miners have had so many NFL players, one, and we've got him in Turk Wharton. Great school, by the way, great school. But they're engineers and architects, not NFL players. This kid's great. I mean, he helps us. He's perfect rotation. The other thing I would tell you is Spags' scheme. We're coming after you. And if Baker Mayfield thinks that he's going to see the same stuff he saw in January in the divisional playoff game, God help you, Baker. Good luck with the progressive insurance and getting locked out of the stadium, because we're going to bring you all kinds of stuff. I'm going to tell you, it's coming. It's coming from the front group. The front group is better than a year ago. Better, because there's more there. And it's all variables, but it's a really nice equation.
So I want to say something about Mitch and ask you to kind of expound on this. Mitch, as most of you know, is a native of the Chiefs Kingdom. He pretty much coined the phrase Chiefs Kingdom. He's from north central Kansas. He went to college in Kansas, pretty much spent his whole life. Have you ever lived anywhere other than the state of Kansas?
Only in Springfield on those games I do for the Missouri State Bears. Which
And once a year when you come
what are you
to the
trying to
Rip.
do, get me audited? Because I filed 2 tax returns. I give my share. I
I do too.
Did you
now.
see the governor going, "Have we audited him?" So yes, I feel like I'm an unofficial member of Missouri.
So, by coining this phrase, the Chiefs Kingdom, it really is a culture throughout the Midwest. And you have, and again, this comes naturally, but you have made it your business to know the school nicknames of the Wheatland Mules and the Marshall Owls and the Odessa Bulldogs and everywhere that you can go.
Adrian Blackhawks. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, there you go. So
Sweet Springs Greyhounds.
That's just your personality, but I think really it has brought this whole section of the country together around the Chiefs by your intimate knowledge of the parts of the Chiefs Kingdom.
I think it's part of the passion for the Chiefs. I did grow up with it. But it's just in this room tonight, right? It's in this room tonight, right? You'll have to have Mike the Intern come up and get you fired up. Yeah. I said it on the stage on February the 5th of 2020 in the celebration in front of several hundred fans before Governor Parson came up. And I said Springfield is a hotbed of the Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
But it's not just Springfield. It's Nixa. It's El Dorado Springs, right? It's Monett. It's the Cubs of Monett. I can sit here and go right down the line. And the point is, it's the farmer who's out haying in the field. It is the person working the second or third shift. It is all race, creeds, and colors. But it's something that, when I came up with the Kingdom slogan, I did come up with it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what is there that could define everybody? It's why I said that at the game when the Chiefs had firmly planted their flag on top of football's highest summit. I said it, Art, because I wanted all of you to feel like you planted that flag.
no matter how much money you have or don't have, if you live in Missouri or Kansas or Nebraska or Iowa. And I wanted everybody to feel that moment. And it is diverse, but I also saw it on February the 5th in the back of a pickup with KC Wolf. And we're coming over the hill on Grand Avenue. We're on the bottoms by the Missouri River, and we're coming over the hill, and all I could see for miles were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I saw Asian people, and I saw Hispanic people, and I saw African Americans, and I saw Native Americans, and I saw grandpas, and I saw grandmas, and I saw little kids. And they were all like you. They had tears in their eyes, and they're all wearing Chiefs stuff. And I thought, this is the kingdom. And I looked at KC Wolf, and I said, heaven's got to be a little bit like this. And he said, no, it'll be a lot better than this. And I go, well, okay, but I'm going to take this today. But that's the kingdom, Art. That's the kingdom. It's all of that, and it's very unique and very different than a lot of pro sports markets.
It also speaks greatly for the whole envelopment of professional sports, because there is no color, there is no race, there is no creed. Everybody is together rooting for his or her team, and that makes a difference. But I do object to one thing. Your knowledge of history is wonderful, but when you had to tell the folks a few years ago that I was the news announcer for the Battle of Wilson's Creek, that was a little bit too much.
But you did a great job, because I went back. Because when Nathaniel Lyon on the right flank of the Union was thwarted by the Hood Echo that he saw, that he thought he heard something, but it was wrong, and he went to the wrong place and lost his life, unfortunately, and lost the battle. But you did a great job of describing that and going, I think Nathaniel Lyon thinks this is a Hood Echo. He is making a right flank maneuver, and it's all wrong. So after this on the Springfield Cardinals Baseball Network. So I thought, wow, that's so cool that he broadcasted Wilson's Creek. So
The Chevy dealers of the Ozarks were in there somewhere, too.
they were. They sponsored Sterling Price's pregame show. Yeah.
Remind me never to do that again. God, that's awful. Thank you.
Oh, you
man.
set me up, man.
Beautiful.
I gave you some more.
Let me ask you very quickly about, this is the first year now that the NFL will have 3 preseason games, except for the ones in the Hall of Fame game. Your thoughts on a team's development with that number?
Yeah, I'm glad we kept the 3. People go, God, preseason games. I can't play fantasy football with preseason games. Why are we having those? There's no developmental league. There's no AA. There's no Springfield Cardinals for the St. Louis Cardinals. And when NFL Europe went away, I've always wanted a spring league. And we've tried these other spring leagues, the XFL and the RFL and the BWFL or whatever. But the league has no developmental league. All we have is what we have in the spring and summer with OTAs and mini camps, and a lot of teams are ditching those, which we can get to that in a second. But those preseason games are way more important than people think. And Mike the Intern can run the promos on those 3 preseason games, but don't be bored by those. If I were you, I would listen to every minute of them, because we're going to tell you a lot of things that you need to know about players who could be a factor in 2022 or 3 that are playing in that game, that have to play in that game. So I'm glad we kept at least 3 preseason games. Now, it's the 17-3 split, right? Still 20 games, but 17 regular season games and the 3 preseason. And I talked about this with Art this afternoon on his show. I kind of predicted this, Art, about 4 or 5 years ago. I said, we're going to head to a 17-game regular season. And if we weren't in COVID last year and still this year, that 17th game would have been an international game. I think we're headed to the point that everyone will play an international game. That 17th game against the NFC team that's not on your normal crossover schedule. For example, we play the NFC East this year. We're playing the Packers. They're the NFC North. It's just one single game. That game would be in Mexico City or Dublin, Ireland, or either in Tottenham at the north part of London, or in Wembley Stadium, or in Berlin, Germany, or in Amsterdam, or in, I don't know, pick one, Brazil, someplace. That's coming because the NFL wants to grow its brand and is very popular. It's the premier league of American football throughout the world, and I've seen that now. And our brand, honestly, is growing almost exponentially internationally because of our quarterback. We're very popular in Western Europe. We're very popular in the Asian countries. So I could see us playing a game in Tokyo against the Packers in a regular season game. The 3 preseason games are interesting, but it's also odd number. Who's going to play at home and road? We have 2 road games this year. We have to go to San Francisco and to Arizona. We play Minnesota at home. I see that 3rd preseason game, and the league has already even said this, that 3rd preseason game might be in a Springfield against the Cowboys. Could be in Oklahoma City against the Cowboys. Could be in Des Moines against the Vikings. I could see us play. I think this is coming. 17th game internationally, and the 3rd preseason game at a neutral site. So get ready, Plaster Field, Chiefs against that. I don't know.
I am so
Titans.
glad to hear you say that. You're too young to remember this, but the NFL did play their exhibition games. Heck, I saw the Philadelphia Eagles play in Princeton, New Jersey, of all places, and they'd play games in Podunk, Pennsylvania, and so forth and so on. Do you see that as a possibility?
I do, and our first game will be in Wheatland, actually. Wheatland, Missouri.
As soon as the governor builds the new football stadium.
He's going to build a new football
They
stadium.
play at Lucas Oil
Parsons
Speedway.
Stadium. No team, but we'll have a stadium, and we'll play that game.
Go ahead, Arthur.
You may or may not have covered this before I was gone, but you're talking, or got here, you're talking about the OTAs and the mini camps, and we talked on the show about you got a short time. There's a lot of turnover on any NFL team, but particularly with all the new players on the Chiefs this year, making use of that time during the off season to mold a team together and build some chemistry.
Let's go back to my point. There's no developmental league. How are you going to get your offense put in place and then do the repetitions? Andy Reid is the best at it. We have had 8 seasons going into a 9th where he approaches our OTAs and mini camps like training camp. From intensity mentally, our offense is installed. And we have 700 plays on our offense. Actually, we have about 800 because we've added another 100. But it's ready to go in St. Joe. We hit St. Joe on the ground running because what we do in the OTAs and mini camps. As a result, we hit the beginning of the season many times ahead of our opponents. Andy Reid, as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, in September has 20 wins and 5 losses. In home openers, we're 7-1. Yeah, we're the best September team in the league since Andy Reid has been here. Is that a coincidence? No, because every day matters to Andy Reid, and that includes a day in June or May or April. Some of these teams just called it off. I'm like, you called it off? And a lot of that was pressure from the NFLPA, I think, and younger head coaches, I think, got pressure to say, we're good. We've got everything installed. And I thought, wait a minute, you could spend every waking hour from now until you start the season and not be ready to go. And so they're going to spend training camp catching up. Well, we're about, think of a Monopoly game. Like we're at St. James coming around the corner, and they're at go. It's just the summers are important, and Andy Reid maximizes it. And a part of that is the internal leadership of our veterans. Because Patrick Mahomes, instead of going grumbling and complaining like, I ain't going to no OTAs in June, he's like, yeah, you are, and I love them, and you're all going to be there. And if you want to play and understand what it's about to play with me, Noah Gray, rookie from Duke, you'll be there and try to develop. And honestly, if Noah Gray from Duke has a big year, which I anticipate, it'll be because of the OTAs. And if we'd have skipped them, I'm not sure how it would turn out. So it's a big part of an advantage that we have that I think is very overlooked. So good question.
Mitch Holthus is at the top of his game, but he kind of represents what all of us who have ever done any play-by-play really represents, and that is you're into the game. You are an athlete. You are taking part as a voice in what those athletes do. My question to you is, how were you able to survive in a COVID-19 situation last year? That had to be difficult.
Okay, I got a little PTSD from it. It was quasi-brutal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I had any worse than any of you. And honestly, we're still in it. Like, I don't get to stay in the players' dorm. We're going to St. Joe. Hopefully, a lot of you can come up there and watch it. Players won't be able to sign autographs. I normally get to stay with the players, Ned, in Scanlon Hall. I don't get to do that this year because of COVID. Even though I tested and I'm in a tier, I tested this morning before I drove down here, and I'll test again, but I don't get to stay with the players. And that makes it difficult because one of the things that I pride myself in is developing relationships with the players. But let's go back to last year. I did every game, other than Super Bowl 55, in front of 2 screens like this in the broadcast suite. And for someone like Art does, and you have, and doing play-by-play, you do take pride in it. And part of that pride is like living the game so that all of you can live it. I think that in 28 seasons, you felt that. Now I'm standing in front of a screen, right? I might as well be in your basement doing this game. The first game against the Chargers, I literally drove around Arrowhead Stadium like for 30 minutes going, I'm in LA, I'm in LA. I tried to put myself, I'm in LA, I'm in LA. So we're doing this game in front of the 255-inch monitors. Remember, that game went to overtime. Chargers get the ball first. They drive near midfield. They decide to punt. So now, the way the rules are, we get the ball and kick a field goal, we win. We're going to go home and go 2-0, right? We've beaten the Texans. So I'm doing it. I'm trying to, as much as possible, think I'm in LA. And again, we have a new broadcast crew. That threw that in with Danon Hughes and Josh Klingler. So we got that going on. But we're driving. We're driving to get the winning field goal. Video goes out. Psst. Tone and bars. Boo. Okay. I don't usually eat before games, but whatever I had in my stomach is now going to my lower intestine and headed for the chute. I am going. You have got to be kidding me. Art, honest to God. I've got an iPad also in front of me because we'll keep track of like quick stats on it. I'm now looking at I'm going to do Ronald Reagan doing baseball in the 20s on WHO. Like, there's a drive for you. But he's setting in Springfield, right? It's gone. But he's 3 minutes later, he's doing it because he's looking at the ticker tape. I'm going to do this game off my phone at about 3 minutes later because I don't have a way of knowing what's going on. Yeah. I freaked out. I thought it was about 40 minutes. It was 35 seconds. Ooh, we get it back just in time, and Harrison Butker is lining up for the field goal. It's good. Oh, wait a minute, Allegretti, false start. Let's back it up 5. Hits it from 58. Let's go. Oh, we're 2-0. Let's go. All right. But I was like, oh, my God, is this the way it's going to be all year? Here's the other part of that that's interesting, because my environment was the same for all those road games. And people say, hey, do you remember that play in Miami when Hains made that? I'm going, well, they all look the same. I could remember them by my surroundings, right? But all the surroundings were the same. I go, was that Raiders or was that Saints? Or because you were just in this chamber doing a game. It was weird, not fun.
Now, you're at the home games last year, just like normal.
Yeah, we were at the home games, but not at the road games. But our home game vantage point, as you know, is 13 stories above the field. So do this. Go to the tower in downtown. Go up to the 13th floor and read some license tags. Yeah. So beta-carotene's big for me. If y'all have carrots, I'm into it. But I use binoculars, I use monitors, so even home games are a challenge. But here we go.
Now, to your knowledge, things will return to a semblance of normal this year.
What time is it, Ned? I have no idea. It literally has changed day to day. And it'll be, you're on a Zoom call at 8:30, or you need to meet in this meeting, and like, we're changing it again. It got changed this morning, going to camp. So the NFL wants everything to be the same. We are to go back to 2019. That's what the NFL wants, ostensibly. And we're going to be full at Arrowhead, right? Yeah. It's day to day. Keep cheering. Cheer every day when they're going, we're full at Arrowhead. Keep cheer again. But the point is, I don't know about tomorrow. And I'm not saying that to be drama king. It's just, I'm like, what? Okay, this rule's coming into play now. Okay. And so here we go. But it's nothing that he doesn't face every day. But I can't tell you, Ned. I'm hoping yes.
We are all, every one of us, flying blind in this society, and there is no rhyme nor reason. And what we have to do is adjust. And that's what you guys talk about all the time. The team that makes the best adjustments is the team that's going to win.
Yep, if we're going to talk about it, we have to do it. So I just didn't think I'd have to train my mind like last year, but I may have to. But even then, with our camp situation, I'm going into a familiar spot, but it's like a jungle. I don't know the rules. The rules change every day. And there has to be cooperation. As I talked to Art this afternoon, and it's what the governor talks about every day. I mean, what I hate sometimes about COVID, it becomes political, or it becomes like somebody's agenda. I'm like, come on here. And I say that because there has to be cooperation between the National Football League, the National Football League Players Association, the individual teams, the entities in which we play, and the folks that govern that. There has to be cooperation and go, how do we get to the best possible solution? Instead of something where I'm going to mark my territory and say, here's what we're going to do. So to me, I'm just hoping that spirit of cooperation is there tomorrow morning.
Here is a loaded question for you, and I apologize if you don't
These
want to
others
answer
haven't
this
been
one.
loaded?
Here, how much of a role, either positive or negative, does the media covering the Chiefs or the NFL in general play in what you just talked about?
It's a big part of it, because what the media has become today, I wish I could go to the Mizzou Journalism School and we say, all right, everybody just calm down, let's reboot and let's talk. Because what media has become are clicks. How do I get clicks? And if I get some juicy COVID story that may or may not be completely true, I'm going to put it out there and get clicks. Cole Beasley, from your alma mater of SMU, wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills, has been adamant about not getting vaccinated. Oh my gosh, bang, bang, clicks, 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 clicks. So if I pump it out there about Cole Beasley, all of a sudden I got a big day, because how many clicks did you get? I got 2 million clicks. Okay, was that story accurately portrayed? Did you talk to Cole Beasley? Do you have a quote? I mean, so the media has a big part in this. And I would say, in a way, they've got to be, an information source, a source of truth, not just something for agendas, because many times, and I'm not going to say anything political here, but they'll jump on whatever agenda they want instead of finding the story. And that's changed in just really the last 5 to 7 years.
Questions from the audience?
Yeah, we got a birthday boy back here somewhere, right? Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
Hey, give him a big round of applause. This is your birthday today. Good for you. Good for you.
Yes, sir.
I got a few. I wrote them down, so I'll make it quick. You mentioned something about the international game, and I thought this was odd. The whole thing of 9 games, home games. Sorry.
Hey, we got a mic.
Sorry.
Thanks, Mike, for the mic.
No problem, guys. That's what I'm here for.
Thanks, Mike. First thing is, wow, I didn't realize. First thing is, you mentioned the international games. And because of COVID this year, I really thought it was odd when I looked at the NFL schedule and I saw some teams had 9 home and others only had 8 home games. Like, for example, we have 9, thank God, but Chicago only has 8. And I'm thinking that's a major advantage. But you mentioned maybe without COVID, that 17th game goes to international. That was my first question. And the second thing, I heard something about Stephon Gilmore possibly coming to us. I heard it. I have no idea. Obviously, yeah. And I am curious about our DBs, our starting. I'm not even sure who our corners are now. And then the third thing is, a good friend here just pointed out, what is Kansas City's vaccination percentage right now? Because I believe it's supposed to be 85%, and that could possibly lead to forfeited games. So I was really curious about those 3 things.
Let's take
Thank you.
3 first, okay, and then you guys can chime in. I'm not allowed to tell you that right now. As far as the percentage rate, you'll hear more. That comes out from the team. It has to come from the team. It has to go through channels, right? Because that could have changed in my drive down here. So to guess at that is not good. It goes back to the, being truthful here. Yes, the NFL put out, and Art and I talked about this afternoon, the NFL put out an edict. If you have an issue with the team, let's say last year, New England, it affected our Buffalo game. New England had to switch to Buffalo. We're playing in the afternoon. Remember that? The old World Series afternoon game where you got your transistor radio up against your ear. And Houston. And there was Denver didn't have a quarterback for a game. This year, that'll be a forfeit. You lose, we move on. No restructuring, no messing around. So that's a pretty strong statement. All right. Number 2, cornerback. I didn't mention corner, but part of this defense, L'Jarius Sneed is a budding star. He is a 4th-round pick. If you would have seen what I saw this summer, you would have only been more emphatic in saying that statement. As a coverage player, as a blitzer in the slot corner, Rashad Fenton's good. He made the play that you've forgotten about in Super Bowl 54. We had to have 4 straight stops in that game or we don't have a parade. He made the first on a 3rd down play where he ran Jimmy Garoppolo out of bounds. Fenton can play. He made a pick last year. Again, I can't remember. It's a road game because they all look the same, but it might have been Miami. I don't know. But he made a big pick. Okay? So, Javarius Ward's back. We didn't have him for a while this summer. We're going to see he's got to get up and running in camp. We hope that DeAndre Baker, a former 1st-round pick, is going to recover from his knee injury. I believe we go in with 18 DBs and 10 are corners. So we'll see. But we've got some capable there and also a future Pro Bowler. One was what? What was the first one you had? Your first question.
About the 9 home games versus 8 road.
Guess what? How many home games we'll have next year? 8. And then I think you're thinking international because hopefully COVID's out of the scene by 2023. And then that 17th game will be international. Just my thinking.
Isn't it true that this year all the AFC teams have got the 9th home game?
It's the only way to do it.
All the NFC.
If you're going to be fair, you're going, wait a minute, the Packers have to play us on the road? That could knock them out of a division title if the Vikings are good. How does that work? And then you're going to give a – no. Art's point is good. It's all the AFC teams play at home in that game. Next year, all the NFC teams will play at home. But look for 2023, we're playing in Tokyo or Berlin. And our quarterback will be the biggest thing ever when we go there because they love him beyond the borders of the kingdom. Okay, Beyonce's giving a concert right after I'm done.
I think Rick has a question.
I do, and I just want to say I got to Tampa Friday morning, and there was not a drop of rain all weekend, and that field looked really long and really sloppy on Sunday afternoon. I'm just saying maybe Brady told him to leave the sprinklers on a little longer. There was not a cloud in the sky all weekend. I don't know how that happened. My question is, McCole Hardman. Obviously, Sammy Watkins has moved on to Baltimore. How excited are you about him being in his 3rd year and the dynamic he can bring and add to our offense in an expanded role?
McCole Hardman's a very interesting story. Let's go back to Ned's thought about the media, but let's take that, I talk about clicks, let's take that to the entire social media spectrum. McCole Hardman is an example of a young player where social media has put undue pressure on him because they took him in their fantasy league. They took him as their WR2 because I got to get 700 yards so I can beat Fred and I can get $500. God, McCole Hardman didn't get 80 catches at 700 yards. He sucks. If I sat here and brought you video of McCole Hardman's highlight tape, we wouldn't have had a Super Bowl 54 parade. We're down by 4 points to the Texans. I even said on the air, I'm hanging in there thinking, don't choke back. Hang in there, man, hang in there. All we need is a play to light the fuse. Do you know who lit that fuse? McCole Hardman on a 58-yard kickoff return. It set everything up. We forget about it. Watch his play against the Saints. I think there's only probably 7 or 8 players in this league that could have made the play. Watch his 2-point conversion against the Chargers, where Mahomes does one of his, throws it out the back of his head at about 6 inches for him to catch the ball at 95 miles an hour, and he caught it. McCole Hardman's a talent. Does he need to improve in some route running? Yeah. Did he? Oh, gosh, he had alligator arms in that first post pattern in the game against Tampa Bay. If he'd have caught that, we'd have won by 40 points. I'm telling you, he's a player. He's an asset. He's great for us. And the other caution I would give you in your fantasy league, we're kind of a bad team to take sometimes in fantasy, unless it's Kelsey or Hill or Mahomes, because we're going to spread out the cards. Andy Reid doesn't want you to have diamonds be Trump every time. He'll go, let's make spades, clubs, and what do I got left? Hearts? We're going to make that Trump. Because that WR2 or 3 could be a whole host of players week to week. And it might be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It might be McCole Hardman. Ask the jump pass against the Titans. Ask the 83-yarder against the Ravens about McCole Hardman and how he stinks. Because I'm going to tell you, if you said McCole Hardman's available, 31 teams would take him by 8 o'clock tonight.
I've got a question. More games equals more yards, right? You think Patrick Mahomes is going to get 5,000 this year?
What do you guys think? I don't want to sit here. Answer, yes.
And then on top of that, I mean, Travis, that's 1,000, right? Tyreek, that's 1,000. Who's the third? McCall Hardman.
Or Hearts, Clubs,
Or
Diamonds, and
Clyde
Spades.
Edwards. Or Clyde Edwards, yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to bid no Trump. Okay? You've got everybody that can be in there. What if you have another 1,000-yard guy? What if there's 4 players that have 500? That equals 2,000. And you're at this 5,000. That's the way Andy kind of likes it. But let me give you just a little bit of stuff that's gone, what I saw this summer. And that is, we're going to redo some things scheme-wise. We have 700 plays headed to 800. With this offensive line and its ability to be more athletic and move, you're going to get some of the playbook back from 2013, 14, and 15 when we were the best screen team in the NFL. We killed our division opponents with screens. We played the Eagles in Philly, going back to Philly, and we ran screens on them that I'd never seen before because it's the genius of Andy Reid. But your linemen have to move. They've got to be athletic. And if they get older and a little bit tougher, they can't do that as much. Plus, we've got the ability to do what we did against Miami in 2014, and that's play 3 tight ends. This Noah Gray dude from Duke, I want to see him in pads. We got Blake Bell back from the old employer of Art, the Dallas Cowboys. We can put 3 tight ends on the field, which makes you go big. You got to put linebackers and safeties on there. If you put a bunch of little dudes out there that can run, we're coming right after you. All right? We're going to run it up we'll give you a prostate exam, right? If you go big, we have 3 tight ends that can run every route on the tree, and your single wide receiver is Tyreek Hill. Now we're going to mind jack with you a whole lot more than we did last year. I'm just telling you, that's what I saw this summer. Get ready for it.
Questions, folks?
Any more questions?
Anything from upstairs?
Got one down here. Hold on, sir.
So this kind of ties in with the last one. In the second round of the draft, we could have maybe got Pat Freiermuth if the Steelers 3 picks before us did not pick him up. Was the Chiefs war room upset about that? Because I feel like there was people thinking we might pick him up.
I don't know. Did they hear you back there? Go ahead and say it again.
So in the second round of the draft, three picks in front of us, the Steelers picked up Pat Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State, and he was on a lot of draft boards. And I know we got Noah Duke, but he's baby Gronk, and there was a lot of hype around him. 2
answers: Noah, Gray.
All right.
It ain't always. I know we love draft. I have to study the draft every night. It's like, yeah. L.J. Snead was on nobody's. Oh my God, I've got to get L.J. Snead. You didn't even know who he was. Now you're going to love him, okay? So I'm not saying Noah Gray's Gronk, but he's perfect for. We've played Travis Kelce 3,300 snaps in 3 years. He's the only guy in our offense that has not missed time because of injury. The only guy. He's played every game other than we hold him out against the Chargers. We held all of you out, right? We got to get Kels some help so we don't sit there just riding the horse. We'll ride him, but it'd be nice to put Seabiscuit out there with War Admiral, okay? I don't lose any more sleep over losing that dude from Penn State. 0. I lose sleep about a lot of things. I don't lose sleep over that one. I love Noah Gray. Let me just tell you one play he made this summer, kind of got my attention. Red zone. And Tyrann Mathieu on him. It's 1-on-1. Honey Badger's on him. And Honey Badger's got him covered like, white on rice. So Patrick throws it. We're away from the Honey Badger. So here's the Honey Badger on this side of the mic. Patrick throws it down here. Noah Gray has to turn his body, twist it, and catches it about 5 inches above the ground. Touchdown, Kansas City. 15 notices this, the guy that you're wearing the jersey of, and just kind of points at him and went, The question is, will he do it tomorrow? He did it the next day. I'm with Matt McMullen watching practice. I go, you know what? We haven't had our Noah Gray play of the day yet. The next play, he runs a 9 route past a corner who's playing slot coverage for a touchdown. I know I'm putting a lot on this kid, but Blake Bell's out there too. I mean, we're just better. We're better at that spot. So don't worry about Pat Freiermuth.
One up there. Yeah, I mean, you guys can jump in here too. Willie Gay Jr. is another reason I'm excited about this summer. Snead, Thornhill, Jaron Reed, Willie Gay Jr. He is a missile. The one play he made last year that gave us a little bit of an hors d'oeuvre of what I think he can be was the game against Atlanta where the game's on the line. And he came zooming in there to make a play he ran from Republic to Nixa to knock the ball out, and it turned the game around. He has got an incredible talent. He can play. And now your question about Nick, I like Nick a lot. But Nick's going to be not in the crock pot because we're going to use him in special teams, use him in some situations. But Anthony Hitchens, when we're in base, Hitchens is your Mike, Neiman will be at the Sam, and your Will is Willie Gay Jr. Nick can rotate in and do some stuff. Darian O'Daniel will be a part of that. We'll have 6 linebackers in camp. But Willie Gay Jr., who is I'm most excited about.
I got one over here from Mr. David Bauer.
My biggest heartache about the COVID situation was after the Super Bowl, we were days, if not weeks, away from making a commitment from the Chiefs to have a parade in Springfield. We were looking at doing a rally and a parade in Springfield. And it was really close, and then this happened. Not to be too ambitious, but when they win this year, would you throw that to us and put the word out for us so we can have that rally?
Well, I'll put the word out for you, but I'm way down the list, okay? There's
Way
somebody
to
at
go,
this
put
table
that
that
on
would
the
have more
shoulders,
influence
Dave.
than I would have.
Golly, man.
Talk
Hey,
to the mule.
Santa, if you can't make
Talk
me...
to the Wheatland Mule. You might have a better chance.
Golly, Dave. What kind of question is that?
I'd love to have that, though, editorial comment. But I would have taken it to all of our major cities in the kingdom. I'd have done one in Wichita, Topeka. I'd have done it in Des Moines, Omaha. But this, I'm not telling you this because this is what you want to hear. This becomes a prototype kingdom area. And I know it's hot. It's hot every day and it's great. But yeah, that'd be cool to do that. You've touched on a nerve. It goes back to Art's question of 15 minutes ago. But I would love to do it all over the kingdom. I want that chance. Kingdom has an awful lot of spirit. Do we have any other questions? One more? Bauer again? No, you're done. You're out.
No, I was just giving him a high five for it actually turned out to be a good question.
So we look at like the evolution of Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. Do you think having a chance to play with Le'Veon Bell for a year is going to elevate him this year?
I don't think they were together enough. If they'd have been together at camp, when we got Le'Veon, I don't think it's more being in our system for a year. And actually, Darrell Williams and he are that's an old LSU RB room combo. Those two are friends. He respects Darrell. Darrell's a good player, a lot better player. Look what he did against the Browns in the playoffs, right? And Clyde's going to have a big year. Clyde's strong, fast, tough. The Saints tried to bend him in half. When I did see that happen up on the screen, because there's a road game, I thought, oh, God, we've lost Clyde for not only this year, maybe next year. Clyde's ready to roll. But I'm going to tell you another guy that I saw this summer that'll be interesting to follow at camp is Jerick McKinnon. Remember the old Viking? And played some with the Cardinals, was hurt with the 49ers. But think of, he's not exactly the Damian Williams body type, because Damian Williams could run a 4.35, 227 pounds, the run to immortality, which should be your other shirt on the backside, was he's run to immortality in the hearts of the Chiefs kingdom forever. He's not that, but what McKinnon brings is a possible tasty third option in there and a mismatch problem for the opponent. So add those 4 or 5 pages onto the 800-page playbook.
Anything else?
Hello again. I was just curious, what is going on with Damian Williams? I know he skipped out last year due to his mother. That's all I know.
With who?
Damian Williams.
He's with the Vikings now. The Vikings signed him.
Did not know that. Thank you.
Good pickup by them. I wish we had him back, but I'm liking what I see. It's not like I don't lose sleep over that one either.
One more. You ask a great question, and it's always like, I mean, it can be Art, Ned, or me, or when you hear us interview, it's like, oh, well, let's throw in special teams as like the dessert. Like, we just throw it in. There's 30 seconds left in the interview.
Yeah.
You could be talking to Coach Petrino. And Coach, what about special teams? Do you realize for 8 years we've been now, we slipped last year. Tobe, good Missouri former assistant, right? UTEP minor, is so ticked about we just were not great last year on special teams because we have been superb for the 7 seasons prior to that. Let me just give you forgotten plays of Super Bowl 54. I'm not sure we won that game. And a forgotten play of the 2018 AFC Championship game. Because I'm going to give you a long answer here, but your question was one of the best of the night. We're rallying. Rashad Fenton makes the stop. We're down 20-10. We've got to stop these dudes a lot. One stop. We score. Kelsey, 20-17 after the Wasp play. The kickoff. What happens after the kickoff? We smoke the kick returner of San Francisco at the 18-yard line. Drill them. Now that pressure continues. All 3 phases are putting the pressure on. Ooh, we get them stopped. We score to take the lead. Damian Williams at the pylon. What happens? Byron Pringle smokes the kick returner at the 17. More pressure. And now they're all feeling it. It is an avalanche of all 3 phases. 2018, I still say we're going to beat the Patriots in regulation. We're up 4, basically at the 2-minute warning. Brady needs 7. We have a chance to tackle Cordell Patterson at the 13-yard line. Go back and look at it. We whiff. We're out of position. He runs it out to the 38. I get a pit in my stomach because I know the difference between Tom Brady getting the ball at the 38 and the 13. Special teams are such a priority with us. And you ask about Antonio Callaway, we will keep maybe 5 wide receivers, potentially 6th. One of those 6 will be inactive on game day. 4 and 5 better be special teams dynamos. Marcus Kemp comes to mind. Pringle is great. I know I'm a K-Stater, but Pringle is a stud for us. Coach Reed loves him. Why? I call him the door hinge. How do dudes get open? He'll go set the screen, right? That, I'm going out for a pass, and boom, 3 guys get knocked off. Kelsey's wide open. Or he'll come out on kickoff return. He'll run a 104-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against the Broncos. Remember that play? All right? Against the Donkeys, 11 straight wins over those guys, which is fun, right? Your point is a good one. But we ask all these questions about individual players, and it really doesn't come up a lot because we don't play special teams fantasy football, right? I'm telling you, it is a huge part of us. We'll be better in 2021 because I think we'll be better in special teams. And we've won our biggest games. We've had a key special teams play to make it happen. The play against Houston in the rally, we knocked the ball out on the kickoff return. We defend the fake punt. All those things became big plays, seemingly little things. We got to replace Anthony Sherman. Anthony Sherman, I could go back on Tyreek Hill's returns, and almost always it was Sherman that lit the fuse on those plays. I'd have to show you on video. We don't see him because it happens at alpha point, but it becomes, it's a 78-yard return, touchdown, Kansas City. But it's the initial block that turns him loose. We're the best at the league at it when we're doing it the best. And I think what I saw this summer is our roster will be better to bring back that renaissance of special teams excellence. Folks, here is the lock of the night. There is no broadcaster in the NFL, none, who has any better encyclopedic knowledge than Mitch Holthus. Give him a big round of applause. We are approaching the magic hour in which we're going to call it quits here, and that's because our friend from Wheatland, Missouri, like all us old-timers, needs to go to bed pretty quickly.
Dude, he can party all night. This guy, you ain't gonna out-party the Gov. It's on.
It would
Bolivar,
not be,
party in Bolivar.
Would not be a meeting with Mitch, however, without Mitch bringing the troops up here and leading them on. I know you love to do that.
Well,
too.
we got to, okay, so no touchdown in the kingdom is just a touchdown, right? They are celebrations of mythological proportions.
The sweet nectar.
Some of you have tasted of the sweet nectar tonight. So we've got to do a touchdown Kansas City. You ready? But I'm going to bring up the queens of the Queen City with the cool T-shirts to lead the way. Come on, ladies, you're standing up
Get
right
up here. Get up here.
I can't believe you didn't bring T-shirts for everybody because that's one of the coolest T-shirts ever.
Do you guys have an Etsy shop we can just like promote? Oh, well, you need to because you can make some money. I'd buy one right now.
All right, you're going to lead the way, girls. Everybody's going to do it. Everybody's going to do it. Governor's going to do it. All of you up there are going to do it. You ready for this? I want them to hear it in Humansville. All right? Here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Holthus, Ned Reynolds, Art Hains, thank you so much for coming out to our Chiefs Happy Hour. Governor, thank you as well for stopping by and seeing us. Also, a big thank you to our sponsors, Albert's Real Estate, Coyotes Adobe Cafe, Morrison, Webster, and Carlton, and of course, give a big hand for Civil Kitchen for that amazing meal they paid. Hopefully, we will see you guys all up in St. Joe for training camp. And then in a month, we'll see you up at our home away from home, Arrowhead Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, go Chiefs!